Welcome everybody. It's a brilliant day, to be honest. It's an absolutely cracking day today. So yeah, well, welcome in. We are about to begin our match preview for West Ham. We have them in the FA Cup tomorrow. Early kickoff, 2:30, I believe it is. At the London Stadium. But we're gonna do a quick, just basically wait around, see if anyone's there. Keep it right. Welcome into the chat. Good to see you, Ronnie Edwards. Boom, 100%. I told you guys. Yeah. You can thank me later if you want to. You can thank me later. Only joking. But yeah, Ronnie Edwards has finally signed. Christian Uri has, well, not Christian Uri, but he was a part of the deal. He was the negotiator, as maybe some will say. But I think what we should say is thank you to the ownership. You know, we don't praise them enough. You know, I did see something on Twitter about praising the ownership. But listen, look, I've praised them a lot over the couple of seasons. You know, them coming in and helping us. But I'm going to say this now. Well done to the Rubens and the... let me just look at... who the ownership is again. The name, I can't pronounce it. It's so bad. It's really bad. I need to look at this. I do. Give me a second. Wait 1 second. I just need to see where can we find out where can we find out who it is. In fact, let me just go to Google and do it this way. Ruben and the Metals. We'll say Ruben and the Metals, we will. But thanks to them, they have done the business and brought in one of the fan favourites from last season, young player of the season as well, centre back Ronnie Edwards, for a big sum, 4.5 million, which obviously I'm a bit late with it. I'll be honest, I'm a bit late with it. It was agreed a couple of days ago. It was, and obviously announced last night, just in time to sign him in for against West Ham tomorrow. So big signing for QPR, big statement for QPR as well, and it's a big statement. But the thing is with it, you gotta give it the outcome, whether there's gonna be an outgoing or it's gonna be the only signing, you know. With obviously Varane in talk, well, obviously there's talks of Varane on Twitter going, well, there's been contact made in France for Varane. Now, obviously, he's injured at the moment, and obviously the injury news is obviously really bad. So yeah, we'll go through that after the match preview, but we'll go through the match preview first. We'll talk about everything else afterwards. Right now, this is the main matter. So yeah, we'll get into this. We've got in the chat, we've got Wham. Good news about Ronnie DB. Yep, 100% I'm buzzing on that. We've got Nick. Hey DB, hopefully you're okay, Nick. Good to see you in the chat again. Simon Wilmot. Yo, how are you doing, Simon? Good, thank you for tuning in tonight. Much appreciated. We know it's been a while. It's been a week roughly that we've been online since, and we've been pretty busy. So yeah, that announcement made me... Okay, fair enough. Keep you alright, no worries. Alright, cool. Well, we're gonna get straight into it anyway. We've got a couple of people in here. So let's crack into the match preview. So as you know, West Ham is the name and the game tomorrow. It's going to be a tough test at the London Stadium. It is. We are going up against a Premier League opponent that's struggling so far at the moment, sitting in 18th position in the Premier League, with only 6 wins and 21 points. Only 3 wins and 14 points. You know, their record is bad this season in the sense of they're not having a great time. Nuno hasn't exactly been, well, let's say, important as he was to Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton in them days. So yeah, so we have an opportunity to go there and do something, but obviously their team is very strong. But depending on paper, they should be winning this 100%. They should be winning this, but we have a chance to go there and give them the game of their life, really, and you know, get through to the next round. So yeah, Nick says, don't think there'll be any more signings as money spent on Ronnie and extending Hamar. We'll get into that after the match preview, Nick, if you want to stay about, and I'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah, West Ham, as you can see in the seasonal stats there on the right hand side, it's not great. You know, they have goals there, Jared Bowen and Paqueta, but their forward line has not been great this season. Even their defense has been appalling. You know, they brought in Kyle Walker Peters, they have, and that didn't really do well. So yeah, I honestly, Skiles, sorry, is a youngster, but they, by paper, they actually have some good quality players there, but they're just not performing what they should be, in my opinion, this season. Whether that's Nunes needs to get the right tactics correct or anything like that, you know. So yeah, but head-to-head wise, the last game against them was in 2015 in the Premier League, 0-0 draw at home, and then obviously, you know, previously after that they pretty much go ahead with more wins on us. So yeah, we haven't actually beat them yet. So it's like I said, it's a good chance to go there and give them a good game and basically beat them on their home soil, if you want to call the London Stadium their home soil. But yeah, the realistic thing, 4-2-3-1 is probably what they're going to go with. Looking at what previous games, what they do. You know, last game they had against Forest, they lost. You know, they've lost against Forest, Wolves, drew against Brighton, sorry, lost to Fulham, and lost to Man City, all in their last 5 games. So if we look at each game, first of all, possession-wise is not there. They're not really controlling the game. Match momentum, not brilliant either whatsoever. Same with Wolves. Their possession against Wolves was quite accurate, to be honest, because Wolves are not a really dominant team. They ain't. But match momentum wise, first half was a bit of a letdown for them. Second half they went in. Brighton, Hove Albion at home. Ball possession not great whatsoever yet again. But Brighton, this is Brighton we're talking about, you know. Killing it. But expected goals were high for West Ham. They were in that Brighton game draw. Fulham more possession than West Ham in that game when they won 1-0. Momentum wise, not great. A couple of here and there's. Obviously, you know, you got Jared Bowen, that is the main man there at the moment, and Man City obviously just dominating them completely at the Etihad. So yeah, it's a chance, like I said, to keep repeating myself, to go there and give them a good game. Depending on the team that we put out. Obviously, the big concern right now is injuries, you know. After that game against Sheffield Wednesday at home, we are carrying a lot of injuries, which we'll get into now. So, injury-wise, the people that are out for the moment, which I will just get it on this right now. I'll bring it up. If you give me a second. Sorry, people. Takes a while for the QPR website to load up. Just trying to see injury update. Here we go. So yeah, so Ilias Shea and Jake Kloxall are continuing their rehabilitations and are expected to return to training later this month. So pretty much, I would say give it till March, really. Middle March, we won't see them. Liam Morrison sustained a knock during the warm-up ahead of our home fixture with Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend. He was withdrawn from the match as precaution and is expected to return with training next week. Give that till the end, well, start of March, start of February, maybe middle of February. Jonathan Rand suffered a minor knee sprain, during the fixture and is being monitored ahead of potential return later this month. Same again, February-wise. Poku sustained a hamstring injury against the Owls. He's expected to return in training next month. Give it, I would say with that one, I put something on Twitter about that one. I honestly reckon you should be given the rest of the season out for Poku. I don't see him coming back fit whatsoever. We need to keep him fit for next season, I would say. So yeah, Burrell suffered a contact injury in the game. The striker will undergo further assessment, but at this stage is not expected to return before March. So our top striker, top goal scorer is going to be out for a while. So that's Ilias Shea, Kloxall, Morrison, Varane, Poku and Burrell. literally key players to the team now are injured, which is not great for us. So the side wise that we choose is going to be very weak. You know, we're going to have to rely on our youth academy a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Tylon Smith or Daniel Benny or any of these guys get a game or on the bench tomorrow. So be very surprised. You know, a lot of people might say this actually. Do you know what? Burrell actually injured. Will we see a 4-2-3-1 or something like that? Will we see two strikers up front? I don't know. We'll have to see tomorrow. Will he play Colley and Kone both tomorrow? Frey Colley, Frey Kone? We don't know. What we'll see whatsoever. But like I said, will we see two up front? Is very unsure yet. And we'll go into the game, yes, and we'll hopefully see tomorrow before the game starts on what our lineup is. But the 100%, I would say, Ronnie Edwards will be on the bench tomorrow for sure. He's made the squad, I believe, and yeah, we'll see what happens on there. Unless he puts Jimmy Dunn right back in and Ronnie Edwards in the middle, just for reliability. So yeah, let's look at the comments. QBR, I think will be a good game tomorrow. Apparently 15k QBR fans, as we have a few thousand in the home end. RWG, hey DB, how are you, mate? I'm good, RWG, thank you for tuning in. Nick says, I can't see us starting with Kone or Colley, so I expect a 5 in the middle to keep us in the game and be comfortable with possession. You know, we couldn't get the worst injuries in a worse time for us if we wanted the cup run. You know, the only positive right now is the fact that West Ham are really in bad trouble and in the Premier League. You know, they're not great this season. They're not being perfect or brilliant. The only kind of players that we gotta watch out for is Jared Bowen if he's going to be on the pitch. You know, I would not be surprised if you will see a couple of youngsters mixed in with a couple of senior players. So yeah, we'll probably see some difference in there, especially with QPR as well. We'll see some difference in there. But like I said, injury wise, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of youth development team in the sub bench for us. It gives us a chance for Isaac Hayden, Soundfield, all these players to pretty much get a game now, some game time, and hopefully we can see something different for the rest of the season. Obviously rotation is key, you know, and this is what I keep saying. And if it's the ground that's caused the injuries, or if it's the fact that we're not rotating enough, then it could be a problem. So yeah, like I said, West Ham could put a strong team out, but I guarantee you they probably won't. I reckon they might end up just having a bit here and there. And sorry, there's been a big bust up at Tottenham game. I'm just hearing screaming in the background. Sorry. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they play some of their youth team and all of that. So you pretty much going from there, really. Are they a very controlled side? No. Usually with what I've expected from Nuno's sides is that they're more in the sense of they like to play quick football and a lot of long balls and counter-attacking, similar to the Championship football. If you've watched Nuno at Wolves in the Championship, or in the Premiership, or Nottingham Forest, he's not a very controlling player, you know, controlling tactic. You know, he tends to like to keep the ball away from the defense of playing style and pull it up there where the players can run onto the ball and stuff like that. So technically be expected for counter-attacking football from set pieces. That's what we need to be careful with. And also we need to be careful with pace down in that forward line. You know, Paqueta is quite fast. Somerville we all know about for Leeds, and Jared Bowen, which we all know about anyway. But yeah, I would say pace is probably going to kill us if we're not on point with our defense, and we're not coordinated properly and making sure we don't have a high defensive line tomorrow. A low block defensive line could be best with a chance of even winning this game or even taking it to penalties. So yeah, I would say depending on what team they put out, whether they do put youngsters, we got a good opportunity. I would say it's going to be a good day out for QPR fans to get up there. 15,000, as someone said in the chat. I thought it was only 9 or 10,000, but it sounds like 15,000 are going over there. So yeah, we're sending a really good support away fans, and we know we're gonna blow the I would say blow the roof off that fucking stadium, but that stadium doesn't have a roof. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game, very interesting game, and hopefully we can do our business. Now, what do we need to do to beat West Ham? I would say, like I said, low block and defensive wise. On the attack, we need to pretty much, I would say, control the ball a lot in their half. You know, we need to kind of be the same as we was with attacking straight away. We need to, I would say, we struggle with bigger pitches. You know, this is a big pitch. Big pitches are our problem, right? When it's too wide, like Watford, Middlesbrough, pitches like that, if they're too wide, we're gonna struggle, because the playing style that Julian plays, like for example Coventry as well, it's not great. So this is our only disadvantage really right now, is I would say, is the stadium. You know, the pitch as it is too wide for us in our style of play, so we kind of need to capitalize on that. And I think we need to kind of play a more narrow game than a more wider game, because if we do play the passing game, if we're doing the long balls, then wider game is quite accurate for us. But if we're going to be doing the 1-2s and stuff like that, we need to play a more narrow game, and this is how we're going to get through. I would say attack more down the middle for West Ham, because we can spread them out on the pitch and then cut in, which would be great. And whoever's in goal, whether it's Areola or one of their youth academy players, you know, if whoever's playing, we could probably try and get a strike. You know, I would like to see Collie play, just because he's the nearest person that we could run onto the ball, or probably even take a cracking shot at that keeper. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see that. But in some terms, we are pretty much weaknesses is the pitch size. So yeah, narrow play, low block, and on the attack, we need to make sure that pretty much all the wingers, the midfielders, are pretty much up there. What I would personally do is two defenders, like two centre backs, whether you take Jimmy Darnell and Bengay up there, but two defenders need to be on that halfway line when we attack. And we also need to make sure that Isaac Caden or Madsen or whoever it is right in front of them, just in case. We need Sato or whoever it is on the wings to just be careful with the counter-attacking football as well. Watch out that. But yeah, we need to play high line when it comes down to attack wise, and then a low block, quick and easy on the defensive side. So yeah, that is pretty much sums up our match preview anyway. There's not much to really say on West Ham side apart from everything that we've said. I think I've narrowed it down to a niche, to a dot. Players to watch out for, like I said, Jared Bowen, Somerville if they are playing. Paqueta if he's playing. Souček's a very good solid defender. He can play box to box as well. Fernandez, he's meant to be quality, but I'd be honest, I've not really seen much of him this season to say that he's amazing or not. But we could be careful with it with every player there still. You know, Mavropanos is a great defender. Tadipo is meant to be world class, but doesn't really show it. Absolutely doesn't show it. So yeah, I'm going to go with a prediction of a 1-0 QPR win, which would be nice. I'm going to go 1-0 QPR realistically. I want this cup run to happen. I think Julian, you know, it's come at the wrong time with the injuries, but I think he can still give it a shot. You know, stay positive, we can get there. So yeah, put your comments below what you think the score prediction is going to be after the live stream, and hopefully we can go from there. We will be live from basically, I would say, 2:15 tomorrow before kickoff. 15 minutes before kickoff. We might come on earlier, like I keep saying, but sometimes I don't because I'm too busy. But yeah, that's the end of the match preview. Let's get into some other stuff. So yeah, let's look at the comments anyway. Sorry, let me just look at the comments first, because I'm not being a good person if I'm missing the comments. I think I've done that one. Do you think West Ham put out a strong team? Do I think West Ham will put a strong team out? I reckon it'll be a mixture. With Nuno how it is, if he wants to, if Nuno wants to save his job, I would say yes. Putting out a strong team would be best. So yeah. And Nick says, good call, DB, about Ronnie coming, and I think I was right in what I said about not wanting loans, hence the big money for Ronnie and extending Hamer. But now the extension of Hamer is quite interesting because it was the only way we could bring Ronnie in, I think. Because if we did think about loans, I personally think, well, we do need players in. We still need a couple of loans in, I think, but I don't think it's gonna happen because, you know, spending 4.5 million on Ronnie, depending whether that's a full payout or you know, bonuses or whatever, I still think it's probably gonna be the only signing that we get this season. And obviously Ben Hamer extending his contract till the end of the year, I think. So yeah, but it's a good sign-in, you know, for us. You know, we need it, and it's going to give competition in that centre-back position. So yeah, we still need a right-back, but I think unless they can find a good buy, but expect to wait until summer. Right-back scenario, I agree. We still need a right-back. I still think Mbenge is better off as a centre-back, but I honestly think Adamson should be given a try, or even just putting Jimmy Dunn back there, and now we have a bit more height with Ronnie Edwards in the middle. It might help a little bit more. So yeah. Saw 15k as new first 2000s in the home end apparently. QPR Ryan says. Nick says, DB, do you think Hayden will replace Varane or stick with Sandfield or maybe play all three? I think Hayden will play. You know, Hayden has been sensational for the last couple of months. Well, the last month, Hayden, since been playing, Hayden has been sensational. Let me have a bit of a drink. Yeah, Hayden has been great for us. Especially against Sheffield Wednesday when he came on. He was really, you know, we've missed someone like that. You know, Varane can do that job, but he hasn't really been perfect this season like he was last season. You know, and Hayden has kind of shown me that maybe if we did sell him, I wouldn't be worried about losing him just because we have Hayden. But it'd still be a sad loss because I love Varane. Varane is one of my favourite players as well as Mbenge. You know, since signing Varane, Varane has shown me that we have one hell of a midfielder in the championship. You know, he's quality. The only lacking thing is touch and sometimes dribbling, you know. But if you get a good price for a player like that and it makes you money, you got to take it. And if he's happy to leave, depending, because he loves QPR, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, he'll have discussions with the club about it. So yeah, I don't want to lose him. Shout out to Varane, I don't want to lose him, but you know, yeah, we have Hayden to replace him, and if we did want to bring him another player to help out, I'm sure Varane will be replaced, or we have that Isaac guy, which might do the job. So yeah, but I reckon it will still be a similar formation tomorrow. I'm not too sure. I can't really guarantee you it, to be honest. So yeah. Wham says, I may have missed it, DB, but do you think Collie will start? He did well last game. I think Collie should start. You know, Burrell's injured, so the only person I can think of with a more powerful strike is either Frey or Collie, you know? But Collie, in my opinion, you know, deserves to get the chance to play. You know, he scored 2 goals and he's doing really well. You know, I think he deserves to get a chance and we'll see what happens. So, yeah. John says, if QPR play well and take the game to us, you have a great chance. We have low confidence and players will be thinking about the Premier League. Thank you for tuning in, John. Much appreciated. And thank you for the comment. Thank you for tuning in. Much shout out. Give a W. Shout out to John, everyone in chat. I honestly think, listen, like, you know, the thing with West Ham right now is that you should never have got rid of David Moyes. But, you know, I honestly still also think that Nuno is a good manager for you guys. But sometimes it takes a manager a while to get the right kind of formation, format, and to kick in his ability to certain players. Because sometimes you might not have the right players that work around that manager. So, in my opinion, West Ham is still a great team. But your ownership might not be the best, I'll be honest. You know, when it comes down to sacking managers and stuff like and hiring managers, you know, they don't look for that that format manager that you really need to kind of kick off the team like David Moyes did, and you know, who else, Sam Allardyce and all these type of managers. So yeah, but I think with us, tomorrow's gonna be a hard game. It's gonna be an interesting game, and hopefully we can, you know, if we attack well and defend well, we could get a good game going. So yeah. QPR says, I take the money for Varane, even if it's 5 mil, can get better championship experience in for way less. The thing is, I don't think there's anybody out there right now that I can say can replace Varane. I'll be honest, I just don't see it. I like Varane. I think Varane's a quality player, but you got to look at it this way. QPR are only going to sign a player that's for the future. You know, they're not going to sign someone that is, well, I know they've signed Hayden and all that, but if they sell Varane, they're probably going to look at someone that is going to fit into that team right now, or someone for the future. So yeah, I don't know if there's, I can't think of anyone right now in the championship that could do it. You know, you got to kind of think of the players that they buy in that midfield. You know, Isaac Alexander looks very interesting. He looks very good for QPR. You know, he's a young talent. He has an opportunity. But you got to remember, we have other players as well that can probably fit in there. Like, if we go into the teams now, right? So our midfield consists of basically Sam Field, Isaac Hayden, Harvey Vale, if in my opinion can play in the middle, Kieran Morgan, Madsen, and Varane. Now Varane to me is a defensive midfielder. Isaac Hayden, defensive midfielder. Sam Field, box-to-box midfielder. Madsen, box-to-box midfielder. Harvey Vale, in my opinion, can play anywhere on the pitch. Kieran Morgan, apparently the defensive midfielder, but I would say Kieran Morgan seems to be a number 10, in my opinion. If we went to the development side, though, on that sense, on players in midfield, so the only person that I can see that might be a good replacement on the development side is literally Isaac or Alfie Tuck, you know, and they're still too young, in my opinion, but we need to look at probably bringing in a centre mid that is capable of helping us. You know, I can't think of anyone right now that would suit the role. I know Ronnie Edwards can play in a CDM role. He can push up into that position. So yeah, there's that as well with flexibility. But I would say for me right now, I would say personally for me, Varane might want to stay till the end of the season and or sign and then stay on loan for the rest of the season at QPR. That might be a good shout, you know, if it does happen. So yeah. But great question. Great for that, QPR Ryan. Nick says that never seen a player like Ronnie be so happy to join us with him smiling all through the interview. Nick, listen, look, Ronnie, when he came into the club at the start of the first time, you know, he mentioned about how his family was QPR fans, you know. For someone to play for QPR and his QPR background of family is kind of one of them things where, you know, you got to think about it in the sense of this guy's going to play for the badge, not the name at the back. He's going to play for the badge. And I've liked Ronnie Edwards for a long time. I think since at Peterborough, him and there's another guy, which I'm not going to pronounce the name because I'm not going to get cancelled for it. So let me see if I can find another name for him. So his name's called Stefan, whatever his name. He plays for Oxford, he does. I'm not going to say the last word just in case I get cancelled for it. So yeah. But Ronnie, for me, is one of the best signings we've had, I would say, since probably the big signings were coming in really for QPR. So yeah, I would personally say it's a great signing for us. 4.5 is a big statement from the club. You know, Christian Uri's done well there in negotiating, and like I said, the board are brilliant for us. Which, you know, you got to kind of pull it for them. You know, they're spending 20 odd million a season to keep us in the to keep us without getting liquidated. To be honest, they're paying the bills, you know, and you know they're probably not making that much money out of the club at the moment, and you know their love for the club is showing it, you know, and this is what we want to see. But you know, we've got to give them a huge shout out for, you know, even spending that much money to bring in a player like Ronnie Edwards. You know, it's, you know, we've spent money on Kone, we've spent money on Ronnie. You know, we've done well in the transfer window for spending money, but it's unfortunate that the injuries on these players are really bad. So yeah, I think the owners ruin their club with recruitment, not the class of managers. Is that West Ham you mean, Nick? Yeah. Q-Ran says that Oxford midfielder is class, the one with the long name. Oxford midfield. Oxford, yeah. Let me see who you're on about. One with the long name. This guy, Keir Smacker. Wow, that doesn't sound right. Keir Smacker. I think we watched him we watched him when he played against us, weren't it? So yeah, I don't know much about him. He might be decent, but do you know what I'll do is I'll have a look at what players there. When tomorrow when we go live, I'll mention some players that we should go in for. So yeah. QR says Ronnie to start tomorrow. I think he won't start tomorrow. I think he'll be on the bench. You know, he's just come in, fitness test. He's still fit, but the problem is, I would say, depending on what we want to play, you know, he could play first. He could be, but he will definitely be on the bench for sure. I believe that Christian Uri wants perm signings, not loans. So I'd be surprised to get any loans in. Nick says. So Christian Uri, in my opinion, he might not want loans in, but if the budget in that sense, you know, he rather probably bring in on loan if it's an emergency, you know, kind of type of thing. I think if the wages can get paid by another club, we will take it for sure on loan. But the problem is, I think Christian Uri hates it because every time there's this jinx with where you fall in love with a lone player like Ronnie, like Sato, and then Christian Uri's got to go to the owner and say, all right, listen, look, the fans love this player, we got to bring him back, you know. So, you know, it's one of them things where maybe he's just annoyed by that, where we love this player, it's going to be difficult to bring him back in, you know, kind of thing like that. So yeah. Nick says, yep. Wham, are you giving your prediction at the end, DB? Wham, I've already given my prediction when we just ended the match preview part. I did say 1-0 QPR. I did 1-0 QPR, so yeah. Ryan says to Camille or something like that. Yeah, I just searched him up. I did. He seemed, you know, I think I remember him playing against us. He is good, but I'll look and see what I can find, and we'll talk about it tomorrow in the watch along. Are we still in for that Dundee centre half now that we have Ronnie as he can play left back? That Dundee centre half would probably end up being just a youth academy or maybe a backup, or sent out on loan. If we did bring him in, but it was just interest at a time. You know, there wasn't anything about signing him. It was more Portsmouth was in the lead, and I also think it was another club as well, Sheffield United, that was in the lead. I don't know if we'll go for him. Look, we have players, man. We have Akadinelli. We got players that we don't need to worry about, you know. Sorry, Wham says I was making a cup of tea, so I missed your prediction. No worries, mate. That's totally fine. Listen, look, you're totally fine. You don't need to apologize. You never need to apologize. But yeah, 1-0 tomorrow. That's my prediction. It might change tomorrow, to be honest. But I'm going with 1-0, depending on what the squad says. So yeah. But with transfers, there's not much talk, I'll be honest. There's not much talk about if we're going to be bringing in anyone else or anything like that. If we do, it's probably going to be backup for any injured players. So yeah. We got Ben Hamer back though. We get to keep Ben Hamer. So bringing the keeper in, unless we sell one, then you know that's not gonna happen. We have a good squad. You know, obviously Burrell's injured. We only have Kone, Collie, or whoever it is now. So we got a lot to do, a lot to work on. And if we do bring in anyone else, it's probably going to be loans or youngsters, really, unless it's an emergency and we need to bring someone in. I can't think of anyone that we are thinking of right now. I was looking to see if there's anyone out there, but there's no news on transfers at the moment apart from the Ronnie Edwards one. So yeah, simple as that, really. QL Ryan says there probably won't be many more rumors, maybe the odd one or deadline. Like I said, if we bring anyone in, it's probably going to be Youth Academy like last season. You know, we're always looking to... Do you know what? Actually, tell a lie. I tell a lie. You know, at the start of this season, Christian Nuri did say there's one aim for him, what he wants to do now with QPR, and that is work on the women's football. So I would not be surprised if this whole January we see QPR women signings, you know, improvements in the QPR signings. So yeah, I honestly think you know, someone out there might want to actually do work on something on the women's side, you know, of QPR to try and help them get bigger, you know. You know, if there's any fans that watch this that go and watch the QPR ladies or anything like that, just do it, man. Honestly, it might help, and you know, a lot of people don't do the women's football side. So yeah, I'm waiting for them lineup to give my prediction. Nothing new there. Nick says, "Oh well, you know, we'll see what happens." But right now, tomorrow's gonna be a big game. So yeah, they have made already 3. That's what I'm saying. The thing is, they're gonna be working on women signings. I would say QPR. So yeah, Nick says QPR women have more signings than the whole championship though. The thing is with the women's side is that I think we're letting players go without even announcing it. So yeah, but right now I would say unless we see someone leave, then I wouldn't be surprised if we sign another player in. But right now, biggest signing of all, Ronnie Edwards gets into the team and yeah, makes a difference hopefully now, and then gets us back up there. So yeah, but we're gonna leave it there for tonight. It's been great chatting with you guys as always. You lot are amazing, honestly. Sometimes, you know, not sometimes, all the time. Why am I being negative for? You lot kill it all the time. For these live streams, you know. And tomorrow will be the same. You know, we're gonna play West Ham. It's gonna be a big game, you know, and I would not be surprised if you know we kill it tomorrow. So yeah, but we're gonna leave it there for tonight. We are going in on 10 views, ending on a 40-minute stream tonight. So yeah, but yeah, we'll leave it there for tonight for sure. I've done this at the end just because I know a lot of people would rather see the preview at the start. So yeah, but we'll be live tomorrow. Don't forget QPR, West Ham v QPR tomorrow. Let's get the win. Let's hopefully get going. And yeah, shout out to all of you in the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out, positivity. Have a great weekend, and yeah, cheers.